What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're going to have a look at some Pirate Rumble stuff regarding who are the best units you should be looking out for in Pirate Rumble. Now, I'm not going to be doing a straight up tier list of like who's the best team, because I've done that in the past, and I guess yes, things have changed since then. You know, we had the New Year's Sugo Fest and a lot of other characters have released since then, but I actually want to rate each of these individual units. So we're over here on OPTC-tierlist.com, leave a link down below in the video description, and we're going to go through all of the PvP Red Recruits and give my opinions on them, which ones are worth, you know, looking out for, which are the ones you should be, like, overall be pulling for. Now, this list here does not have the legends, which is why we have also the legend tier list, which I'll just be placing these guys on this tier list here. So, you know, just so you guys know that I am including the legends in this, because the legends are, you know, pullable on the banner, and, you know, they're actually pretty good in PvP. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's start off with these Red Recruit characters, ranking them from tier 0 to tier 5. Now, Otama, I think, is actually like a pretty high tier character. She has really good healing mechanics, very good for fighter and free spirit centric teams. It's unfortunate right now because fighter and free spirit just in their own teams are really bad. In a lot of situations, Otama is going to be put onto teams that may have a couple of fighter and free spirits in it just to give them a bit of a boost, but even just good on teams just to provide a bit of healing mechanics. You know, she's not the best unit in the world, but she's just a nice addition for teams. She's got really bad stats though, so she's usually one of the first characters on your team to be knocked out. We've got Jozu here. I think Jozu's like just okay. I just think if you're running an int team in today's day and age, Jozu probably isn't going to be on it. He's fine. Definitely when he first came out, int was, you know, built a bit different back then. He was good for those teams, but not really good right now anyway. So Cat Viper is a pretty interesting one. He's definitely more defense focused, but he has a health cut mechanic, which is really good for striker and cerebral teams. Both of those teams, though, not that good in PvP currently right now. I think Neko is probably around the same tier as Gozu. They're not like the best, but they're solid options if you don't have much else. I think Sanji's probably like a tier 2 character. I personally view Sanji a lot. He's really good on strength teams because he's like one of the only like decent strength units that can give you some CT increase, so he's actually pretty good for that. And then Stussy, I really don't like this unit. I don't understand, I just don't understand the purpose of this unit. Like, really good in the first 30 seconds, but post 30 seconds, this unit is absolutely awful. I just don't get it, and I'll continuously say that I think Stussy is one of the most overrated PvP Red Recruits in the game. She's terrible. Whitebeard is tier 0, one of the best PvP Red Recruits in the game. The fact that this unit's special, like, he can just, you know, give enemies defense down, then hit them, and then if they've got powerhouse characters, he can special bind them. Very unique. He just hits incredibly hard. This is a unit you definitely want to be looking out for. Whitebeard is a beast. Kalgara and Noland, they are, like, okay. I'd say they're probably, like, around here. Like, I think Sanji is definitely the better of them. The thing about it is that, you know, with Kalgara and Nolan, they've got really good passive, they've got like a really good special, but the problem is that their special is only single target. So in a lot of situations, like, yeah, sometimes if they target the right guy, it can definitely win you a match. In a lot of circumstances, they're not going to really attack the character you want, and it really does hurt, but at least they are a side unit. They get good synergy with some of the other side characters in the game. Konus, I think, she's okay. I think she's probably around this tier as well. The only thing about her is that she's only good against side teams. So if you're building in like an int team that is solely focused to beat the side team, Konus is probably on it. But Konus herself, she's not like the greatest. She's probably a little bit lower. Just, she doesn't really see that much play. She doesn't do damage. She's literally only a debuffer. It's not that great. She doesn't really provide much for your int team. It's, again, her passive and her special are both centered around debuffing the side characters. She does have something for your int teams, but it's nothing crazy. And then we've got Kaku. I think Kaku's actually pretty solid. He's probably around here, though, let's be real. I want to save the top tiers for the actually good ones that see a lot of play. Kaku's on that cusp of, like, yeah, he's okay. You can run him on a strength team slash a slasher team if you want, but at the same time, you know, you're only really using this guy against Dex characters, unfortunately. And then we got this guy. He's awful. Like, these two are just so bad. I think these two actually released together, and they're both just terrible. Like, these characters are just not good. Frankie's passive is okay, but you're not really using Frankie for his special. His special is like damage over time and stuff. It's just not good. This guy's also not that good either. I'll put him at the bottom. He's solely focused around giving your int characters crit, which is very good for Halloween Mihawk when he first came out, but the team was way too gimmicky. Didn't really work very well. Sober Mask is a top tier unit, one of the best PvP Red Recruits, like literally the GOAT bench character. You want him to be the final character in your team. If he comes in late game, he hits ridiculously hard. Though I feel like in today's meta, Sober Mask's usefulness is definitely dwindling in comparison to when he first came out as a bench unit. A lot of teams now are able to deal with it, but at the same time, if it comes in late game, he can definitely win you matches. You still have to respect what Sober Mask can do. Trafalgar Law's really good. I think Trafalgar Law, he even might be tier 0. He's top tier though. He's really good for strength teams, really good for slasher teams. If you're running, you know, a team around that, he's just, you want to have him on your team. He's ridiculously good. He can do really good damage too. You definitely look out for Law. He's a hard-hitting unit. Just great synergy with strength and slasher characters. Cavendish, I think, is actually relatively top tier as well. Now, a little bit different with Kagura Noland is the fact that, you know, Kagura Noland are solely focused around doing as much damage as they possibly can. Really low CT. They are single target. They hit really hard. Now, Cavendish is also a single target character, but the thing about Cavendish is that he's also very good defensively. He provides good defensive effects to your Dex team, and if you're running like a Dex offensive team, Cavendish is a really good unit to use. I do think Cavendish is a better unit than Kagura Noland for his own team. If you look at it on paper, you'd probably say Kagura Noland probably is a better unit, but for his own team, Cavendish is just a better unit, obviously. So next we've got Rebecca and Toy Soldier. They're definitely a top tier unit. This is another unit that you could potentially just run on a bench if you have some type of synergy, right? Like if you're running maybe a free spirit team and you wanted some type of bench unit that can come in and, you know, do a bit of damage or provide something to your team, then, you know, Rebecca Toy Soldier can do that because they are actually a free spirit character. I think they're free spirit shooter, if I remember correctly. So you can have that if you want, if you're building a free spirit centric team, but they're pretty good. They can come on, you know, halfway through the game and they can do good damage to 2 enemies, and they also reduce defense, and if they've got slasher characters, you get further enhanced defense reduction to those slasher characters. But of course, Rebecca Toy Soldier are really good on the main line of one of the best teams in the game, being the side team. So of course you have to respect that. So Rebecca Toy Soldier, one of the best units for sure. And then we got Shiryu, and I think Shiryu, he's probably tier 1. I'm not going to really say that he's like a tier 0 broken unit, because he is good, but the thing is the quick team is becoming less and less powerful as the days progress, and I don't think I'm comfortable in saying he's a tier 0 unit, because you can still run a quick team without this guy. This guy's not going to make or break your quick team. Obviously he helps out, but he's not the end all be all. Whereas if you're running a side team without Rebecca and Toy Soldier, it really does make a difference, because their passive is absolutely broken, whereas with Shiryu, it's a good passive, but it's not on the same level as this guy for sure. Now, I do think Smoker, this is actually one of the characters I don't own. Smoker, I think, is a tier 0 PvP rare recruit. He's got a great passive, like huge attack buff to int, and he also does miss percent up, like level 10 or something to the enemies, and that's really good. It means that the enemy's normal attacks are going to miss a lot of the time, and he has a very good special ability that can special bind enemies as well. He hits relatively hard. If you're building an int team, offense or defense, you want Smoker on that team. So it really sucks that I don't have him yet, because he is so good, but I definitely think he's one of the best. Now Cracker, I do think Cracker is probably, he might be tier 0. He's pretty close to tier 0. He's around the same level as Law. He might be a bit better than Law. So the thing about Cracker is that he does damage through defense, but it is only 1 times his attack. So it's not that much damage. So there's that. And I believe it's only to 1 enemy. Yeah, I think it is only to 1 enemy. It is only to 1 enemy. So his single target isn't that great, but the rest of the special's pretty good, because he does allow your strength units to get some CT increase, which is great. He has a good passive, allowing you to debuff Dex once again. So, you know, strength are very anti-Dex, and that's fine. There's lots of characters that can provide that. So he's really good. I think if you're running, like, if you'd rather choose Cracker or Kaku on a strength team to verse Dex, I'd probably choose Cracker, because damage through defense is incredibly broken. So there's that. He's good, but I don't think he's like tier 0 broken. Now with Gaban, I think Gaban is also like a tier 1 character. He's one of those characters that you can just chuck on your bench on a side team or a slasher team. He comes on and he's going to hit really hard. His special provides good damage and also an attack buff to Psy once again. His passive's also pretty good, like a huge HP and attack buff to Psy characters. So yeah, he's just a damage dealing unit, a good bench unit you can bring on a slasher team or something just to hit really hard. Pretty solid unit. Now Moria, I think Moria might be on the cusp of tier 0. Like, Moria is incredible. If you've seen my videos using a Dex offensive team, Moria is the man. He just destroys quick teams by himself with his special, doing like 2 hits of defense down and then huge damage towards them, just providing the ability to melt through quick teams. Again, you know, we're talking about each of these characters in their own teams, and Moria is going to destroy it if you're running a Dex offensive team. He's so good, definitely worth running if you have him. Now, Allman is also one of those characters that you can just chuck on a team and he's going to just be a pretty good damage dealer. Nothing really special about him. I think he also does debuff a bit of Dex as well. Just another strength unit, Dex debuffer, does a lot of damage, pretty typical suspect. Smoothie is another one of those characters that I think is maybe, actually, she might be T0. The thing about her is that she's one of those bench units, once again, that can come on, do a lot of damage. But the thing about her is that she is like slightly better in the fact that she can guarantee target 3 characters, and I think it's like 2.5 times her attack. Yeah, dude, Smoothie is insane. She's one of the best PvP rev recruits you can have on the bench to come on late game. Super good unit. Strusen, unfortunately, I think is pretty bad. I think he's probably maybe Stussy level here. He might even be lower. He's just not worth running in any sense. So next is Kobe, and I do think Kobe's like actually pretty high tier. Again, like there's so many strength PvP rev recruits. I'm just noticing that there is so many, but he's really good. Kobe's pretty good at providing the CT increase and a really unique special ability that if you've got like not many characters left on your team, you can like instantly charge one of your characters. It's pretty sick actually. So Kobe's pretty solid. I don't know if I would put him in tier 0 though. Definitely not a tier 0 unit, but he's super good. I think is actually really good. He might be tier 0. At this point, I don't personally use a lot of int offensive teams, but when you look at what he can do on paper, he's actually super good. But I do want to put him a little bit lower because he does have incredibly high CT, and that does not do him any favors. But if you are building an int team to solely beat the side team, yeah, he's probably one of the guys you want to be using. He's got a great special, great passive, great in tandem with the Conus. You can use super type Katakuri. You can just run a full int team that is Psi Hate, and it's going to work pretty well. So there's that. I think Ohm is very, very solid. And then we've also got the Groggy Pirates. I think Groggy Pirates are also like a relatively good unit. They just hit ridiculously hard. Again, they're good for the quick team, but they're also really good to just run on any team as a bench unit to come on late game, do a lot of damage. They're super good. And then the last unit that obviously isn't here is Dalton. And Dalton I would probably put in tier 1, maybe tier 0, just due to the fact that the Dex offensive teams are super good. And if you run him on his own team with, you know, Dog, Cat, Moria, you can run the CP0 Lucci, like that team just hits so hard and it just melts through quick teams. So I do think Dalton would be tier 0, tier 1. And then if we take this same looking tier list and then apply it here to the legends of NL, Kuma, and also Borsalino, I think NL is going to be a tier 0 unit because the side team is just so good with this unit. Such a powerful unit, allowing you to get speed, defense. He's guaranteed to hit all enemies, which is a huge positive. This in tandem with Yamato to consistently buff his attack, and then he's always hitting every single enemy. He's just a relentless force on the side team, and if you're building a side team without him, it's a huge noticeable difference without him. And then we've got Kuma. I think Kuma's probably like a tier 2, tier 1 kind of legend. The thing about him is that remember, these legends have high cost, so if you're running more legends, it means you got less cost for some other characters, whether it be other legends that are more powerful or other PvP rev recruits on your team. So I do think that, you know, Kuma is probably a tier 2, tier 1, and then Borsalino, I think he's probably the same level as Kuma. I just think that with everything that Sai has, they're just such a good team that these two characters, while they are relatively good, I feel like NL's importance is a little bit more important for his team compared to Kuma and Borsalino for their teams. So yeah, just NL is way more important for the side team, and because of that, he's definitely ranked higher. So that's going to wrap up this video today. Hopefully you guys understand what's going on and kind of get my thought process of these units, but I definitely think the characters in tier 0, I have all of them aside from that Smoker, and they've all been super impressive characters. Been very, very glad to have them. The characters in tier 1 are all incredibly good units that work well in a lot of different facets, and then the characters like in tier 2, they're characters that are good but not characters you're going to use often, and then tier 3 and below are just characters that in my opinion are not super good right now. If things change, obviously, if we get a really good striker meta or a really good cerebral meta, then Neko is going to be bumped up for sure, but at this point in time with what are the good teams in the meta, this is probably where I would rank everything right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.